This is ABC 7 News at 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohn, and welcome to ABC 7 at 7. Topping our news tonight, golfers finding a course with an available tee time just got that much tougher. Golf course is closing this Sunday because developer Carlos Baruf plans to build more than 100 new homes. Sarasota County's Planning Commission gave Baruf the okay last night. The decision comes despite ongoing opposition from Gulf Gate residents. They are against the plans to put up gates as well as increase traffic in the area.
I was disappointed in the way the Planning Commission went last night.
It's kind of sad that they have to shut down, but then again, you can't have a losing proposition when you own a piece of property.
Sarasota County's County Commission must still approve the development. Gulf Gate residents are trying to meet with Baruf about it. Baruf, who is also running as a Republican for the U.S. Senate, was unavailable for comment on this story. Meanwhile, a housing development in downtown Bradenton is getting the green light despite community opposition. A group of residents filed a lawsuit to keep Glazer Gates Park from being moved to make way for an apartment complex. But today, a judge dismissed the lawsuit. Residents argued the development violates Bradenton's comprehensive plan. The judge ruled, however, the land exchange between the developer and city is lawful. Work on the project is expected to begin in the coming weeks. Troubling news from Florida's Department of Health tonight. Suicide rates among young people are on the rise statewide. In fact, it is now the second leading cause of death for Floridians between ages 25 and 34. It is also affecting teenagers. It's the third leading cause of death for 10 to 24-year-olds. What's behind the increase? It seems not even the head of Florida's Council for Community Mental Health is sure.
We really don't know why, and one of the reasons why we want to do these studies is to figure out what's really going on with these rates, why these rates are increasing. And as I said, it's true nationally and it's true in Florida.
Suicide rates are also on the rise among military veterans and minorities. Experts say the key to curbing the numbers is to end the stigma and treat depression as a public health threat. Nearly 400 death row inmates across Florida are awaiting the ruling in a case before the Florida Supreme Court, which could decide whether they live or die. Florida's justices haven't reached a decision on an appeal from a death row inmate sentenced under Florida's previous death sentencing law. That law was found to be unconstitutional by the U.S. Supreme Court earlier this year. Local attorneys say this decision could have massive repercussions.
It is possible that the Florida Supreme Court will overturn the death sentences of every inmate on death row and order that they be resentenced to life imprisonment.
No word on when Florida Supreme Court is expected to make that ruling. It was a terrible tragedy on a beautiful Suncoast beach nearly 2 years later. The family of the two victims is opening up. Ami Izarari and his 9-year-old daughter, Oceana, were walking along Kasperson Beach in Venice back in 2014 when the plane suddenly came in for an emergency landing. Ami was killed and his daughter later died in the hospital. Today, the family opened up for the first time about that tragic day.
It was a wonderful day. It was beautiful. And it was very unexpected. Very tragic. Planes don't just fall out of the sky.
The National Transportation Safety Board has not released a final report on the crash. After 140 years of performing, elephants are finally being phased out of the greatest show on earth. Ringling Brothers retired the last 11 elephants today from its traveling circus. The animals will now stay at the company's Center for Elephant Conservation in Polk County. The elephants will be giving a much different contribution to the community, helping in the center's cancer research. Elephant genes are resistant to cancer. Wow, SpaceX showing today the first controlled landing of one of its rockets was not just a fluke. For the second time, the aerospace company has successfully landed a Falcon 9 rocket Back in April, SpaceX had its first successful landing after a number of failures. This achievement could vastly reduce the cost of transporting materials to and from space. The sandbar on the north end of Longboat Key is a popular weekend party spot with boaters dropping anchor and turning up the music. Some residents, however, say it is getting out of hand. State law prevents municipalities from regulating noise on the water, so instead the chief is planning to beef up police presence.
Have 1% maybe that just want to share their music with everybody, and it travels across the water into the neighborhoods and disrupts an otherwise pleasant Saturday or Sunday afternoon.
Longboat Key is working on an ordinance to give police more authority over offshore noise violations. NOAA complaints about the noise tonight in Lakewood Ranch. Tonight, ABC 7 Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan is joining us live from Music on Main. Bob.
I gotta tell you, it is absolutely outstanding out here. Look at the crowd here in Lakewood Ranch, Music on Main, benefiting the birds of paradise, and a lot of people out here dancing to the great music of the Lisa Ridings Band. I mean, this is just outstanding. Big crowd, biggest crowd I've seen in a while right here, because more than likely has a lot to do with the weather. Weather is looking great. Back downtown, I'm gonna give it to you. Let's go to the match show. Don't believe it, just watch. Watch this camera show beautiful clear skies all day today at Lakewood Ranch webcam. Hardly a cloud in the sky, and that's the result of a cold front, really a miniature cold front that moved on through. They're being set down by that low pressure that's spinning over the Mid-Atlantic coast state. It continues to funnel in northwest wind, and that brings in cooler and drier air, and we're going to see another reinforcing shot of cooler air move on in. Titan radar picture showing no rain around. We are not anticipating any rain over the weekend. Right now, a comfortable 73 degrees, and the dew point is at 48 degrees, which is really quite low. And as far as the forecast goes, we are anticipating nice weather. High today was 78. Similar conditions expected tomorrow. As far as the boating forecast is concerned, we are anticipating generally winds out of the northwest at around 10 to 15 knots tomorrow. And I'll tell you, they are dancing, aren't they, here, Alan? I'll tell you, great music, great fun, all here at Lakewood Ranch. We'll have much more coming up at 11 o'clock. We've got some sea salt of Florida, the drum circle on a cucumber.
Thanks a lot, Bob. And still to come, your kid works hard to get a starting job on their high school team, but look out, because our state legislature just made free agency legal in high school sports. That story when we come back.
What does it mean when New South Window says Factory Direct?
It means we have a factory.
It means we eliminate the middleman.
It means you get an award-winning, energy-efficient window at factory direct prices.
Plus, New South windows are made in Florida.
Ford Florida Home.
By Florida workers.
Because we know Florida weather.
Right now, buy 2 windows, get the 3rd free, plus our lifetime warranty. New South Window. We manufacture, we install, we guarantee. Call now.
Is your mop a dirty, disgusting mess? You need the Hurricane 360 Spin Mop System, the only mop and bucket that spins the dirt away. A system that cleans practically anything and everything with super absorbent microfiber. Dip it in the washer side and the mess releases into the bucket. Then place it in the dryer side and push on the pedal. You get a clean mop head that's practically dry and ready for more. And your hands will never again touch a dirty, disgusting mop. The heads are washable and reusable. Get the Hurricane 360 Spin Mop System for just 2 payments of $19.99. You'll also get a Sticky Buddy, the reusable sticky roller that picks up pet hair and lint and washes clean in seconds. You can take advantage of our 2-for-1 Pick It Up special and get a second spin mop set. Just pay additional shipping and fee. And we'll upgrade you to free priority handling. So don't wait. Order now.
Call 1-800-394-1524 to get your Hurricane Spin Mop double offer. So hurry and call 1-800-394-1524. Call now.
ABC 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you weeknights at 5.
A high school in Polk County gets caught using football players who don't even live in the school district. That school is stripped of its winning record. Parents complained to their state senator, and now our state legislature and Governor Rick Scott has made Florida the first state in the nation to make pro-style free agency legal in high school sports. Adam Cellini is here to explain. Adam.
Yeah, Alan, one of the lessons you learn in sports is how to deal with adversity. But some coaches worry athletes are more likely to take the easy way out now that it's available. For football coach Brian Riles, this was the year. Sarasota graduated just one starter from last year's 4-win team, and the Sailors were poised to make their best run in Riles' 3 seasons as head coach. However, the team is running spring practice short 6 starters after 7 players transferred out of the district.
It was difficult. It was very, very difficult for them as well to endure teammates, guys they've established and spent significant time with, call friend, you know, to no longer be here with them.
But who could blame them? Their idols are constantly moving around, forming super teams. Free agents showing winning and winning quick is the most important thing in sports.
That's what they're looking for. I think they equate winning to the greater opportunity at getting to college to play college football. And everybody wants to be on that stage. And so winning more quickly, I think, makes your program more attractive.
The attractive programs are now even more accessible thanks to this year's massive education bill. Among other things, it sweeps away several restrictions on student-athlete transfers.
The biggest substantive changes that we're going to be dealing with right now is prior you had to be at a school prior to the first day of practice in that sport. Now a student-athlete will be eligible whenever they transfer as soon as they go, regardless, even mid-season.
Starting July 1st, moving within the district becomes easier. But the following year, athletes will be able to play anywhere, regardless of county lines. The Florida High School Athletic Association has always set the rules for transfers and eligibility. Lawmakers' efforts to bypass the agency is frustrating for athletic administrators like Jason Montgomery.
We felt like this was a little bit of an intrusion by an entity that really doesn't have a feel for how that's going to impact things at the boots on the ground level.
Proponents for change have long felt the FHSAA penalties were unfair to students. So while transferring has become easier for athletes, coaches will walk a much thinner line on illegal recruiting.
There's tremendously heavier fines and penalties for recruiting by coaches and administrators at schools, and the threshold for proving that has dropped greatly.
At Impact Academy in Sarasota, basketball is at the center of the curriculum. The school attracts transfers from over 60 different countries because, according to director Matt Hiller, it's their best chance at a college education.
If a kid's, you know, a violin player, you're going to look for, you know, music schools, high schools, and then that springboards you into college. So it's no different with sports.
Sports academies like Impact show the market that's developed for high school athletics and just how competitive college recruiting has become.
Not only are you competing with guys in the United States for these limited scholarship spots, you're competing with the entire world now.
Former Riverview High standout Rod Miller is saddened to see winning trample loyalty these days. As he trains high schoolers at Out of Door Academy, he can't help but think kids are missing out on the lessons the district lines taught him as a teen.
Wherever you end up in that district and you worked your butt off. And if it was someone in front of you or an obstacle, you worked harder and you beat them out.
Unhappy with your coach, your team, your playing time? Now the choice is simple. Just go try somewhere else.
If we're going to make it easy to just say, well, I'm not liking it here, or this is not going in the direction that I would like it to, then are we helping them to develop or taking away from their ability to develop those different skills and having to experience that at a younger age?
Now, some of the caveats that still exist for high school transfers: you can't displace a student by joining a full roster, and you can't participate in the same sport at 2 different schools in the same year.
Adam, thank you. And in a moment, our roundtable.
Whether you're a homeowner looking for a professional installation or a contractor looking for top quality products, Sarasota Glass and Mirror can meet your every need.
For 42 years, Sarasota Glass and Mirror has been the area's premier supplier and installer of quality glass products for your home or business. As an authorized PGT WindGuard dealer, we know how to protect your home with everything from the PGT WindGuard impact-resistant windows and doors to shower enclosures and decorative mirrors. The Sarasota Glass and Mirror team has the knowledge to tackle any project.
Did you know you can make an instant harness by simply wrapping the leash around your dog's chest and up through their collar? Contact Canine Corral today about a no-pull harness that will make you smile. Canine Corral, where the love is.
For your plumbing, electrical, or air conditioning, and services is qualified, and service calls are free, and andservices.com. andservices.com.
USMed has great news for anyone living with diabetes.
If you have Medicare, private insurance, or prescription drug coverage, USMed will ship a new glucose meter right to your home.
And shipping is free.
My new meter uses only a speck of blood, so it's less painful than my previous meter.
If you have Medicare, private insurance, or prescription drug coverage, you're covered with USMed. We're welcoming new patients, even if your current provider can't supply you anymore.
I don't even have to test on my fingers anymore. I can test on my hand or forearms, and it's more accurate than my old meter.
So call USMed today, and you'll have a choice of 2 great meters.
One that actually speaks your results, or a meter so small it fits in the bottle of strips.
Act now, and USMed will include a free prescription discount card. We'll also send you a free diabetes cookbook. This is your opportunity.
So call USMed today.
You'll be glad you did.
Joining us for more on tonight's topic is Dr. Roger Daring, the Executive Director of the Florida High School Athletic Association. And Roger, thank you very much for being with us tonight. Let's tell folks how this all came up. It started with a high school in Lakeland that was using illegal transfers in their football program, and then what happened?
Well, once we investigated, there was an accusation from another school that these 5 student athletes were falsifying their addresses in order to gain eligibility at a particular high school. So that other school hired a private investigator, gave the report to us. So we looked into it and found that it was valid. The students weren't living where they were claimed to be living. So those students were declared to be ineligible for a year, and then all games where those student athletes participated had to be forfeit. And then while we were there, we found out that 6 students had done the same thing at that school the year before. So we look at the current year and the one previous year. We don't go back any further than that.
And that left a lot of unhappy parents who went to their state senator, and ever since then, Senator Kelly Stargell from Lakeland, year after year, has filed legislation that eventually passed that basically what you say is creating a free agent system in high school athletics.
Well, I've talked to Senator Stargell a number of times, as you might imagine. I've met her in Tallahassee. I've met her in her office in Polk County. And this brought to light to her what she saw as a roadblock for students and parents to have open choice for enrollment for any reason, whether it's for the band program, the Latin club, or for athletics. And she felt that the parents and students need to have an open right to go wherever they wanted to go.
And one could understand that line of thinking. On the other hand, you have situations where, you know, a football team plays another team that is stacked with players, ringers, you might say, from around the state, and they lose 80-0. And is it fair to those kids and those parents to be pummeled by another team of all-stars?
You know, no, it's not fair. And so, you know, it brings you back to the old saying you used to have about Bear Bryant. You know, Bear Bryant was a coach that said that he could take his and beat yourn, and take yours and beat his. But now you can have yourn and his'n to beat, you know, yourn. So it's tough on ideas of loyalty. It's tough on ideas of students who live in a particular neighborhood school area, who start as a freshman in athletics, continue on, and of course, you know, by the time they're seniors, they expect to be starters or players, and all of a sudden somebody comes in from another county or somewhere else in the state or from another school across the county and bumps their starting role. And it's tough to comprehend. I mean, as a former educator for 39 years, we're here for the education and prepare young men and young women for post-secondary education or the world of work or the military. And so this creates an unnecessary focus and emphasis on athletics instead of academics where it should be.
Is there any precedence for this around the country?
Nowhere. You know, there are 51 state associations, including Washington, D.C. All of them keep an eye on Florida. You know, they're concerned because that trend, if it were to start in other states, would be a tremendous blow to public education and the right to participate and compete where your neighborhood is. And so they're afraid that this opens up what everyone has termed high school free agency, which is just not appropriate at that age.
You know, there is a line of thought, and a lot of the motivations of these parents is get their kids into high-profile programs where they'll be seen by college coaches and maybe recruited to Division I schools. That's every kid's dream and many parents' dreams. Does that really happen? Does it really work that way?
It does not. I will tell you that the national average right now is 2.5% of the students who participate in extracurricular activities, athletics in high school, go on to a Division I college participating in that sport on a scholarship. In Florida, it's about 3.5%, but then let's take that a step further. Once that 3.5% from high school gets to college, starts participating in D1 sports, it's less than 1% of that go on to make a career out of an athletic endeavor. So, you know, you've got less than 1% of 3.5%. I mean, it's just a tremendous odd that, you know, some parents try to jockey the system in order to get what they think will be an educational scholarship for their child, when in fact is not going to be any beneficial for that child once they get out of school.
There's another aspect of this, and that is illegal recruiting by high school coaches. And they were restricted by what they could do because of the transfer situation. How does this new law change the ability of your organization to monitor whether or not coaches are illegally recruiting?
Well, you know, that's one of the good things about this law that was passed, because for the first time now, the state legislature has really recognized that recruiting is a problem and it is detrimental to our young children. It's usury of our kids. And so this law puts some teeth into how to handle recruiting. If it's a public school employee or a contractor, they have a $5,000 withhold of their salary if it's recruiting is proved. On the second offense, it's another $5,000 in suspension. And on the third, it's another $5,000 in potential losing of the certificate. So, and also, back where the first bill was passed in 2011, said it had to be clear and convincing evidence, which I've been telling everybody that's the same level of proof we have to convict someone of murder. They've now lessened that to preponderance of evidence, or greater weight of the evidence.
But how difficult is that investigation now, because the transfer itself is no longer illegal?
Well, the transfer is not illegal. The question is, how did the transfer take place? So we feel pretty confident. In other words, if a parent and child duly request and then get accepted at another school and it happens on above board, but if we find out there's prior contact from that coach, or he's visiting the home, he or she is visiting the home, or there's something that takes place where parents of other student athletes at that school are contacting this child's parents to come over. You know, we've got a great catcher, we've got a great shortstop, we need a good pitcher. How about you coming to pitch for us? So we'll be able to investigate to see if those types of things happen. So I don't think that the new eligibility rule is going to decrease our ability to prove recruiting, because if recruiting takes place, somebody's going to tell, and we'll find out about it.
But on a practical basis, while this debate has taken place over the last couple of years, what were the number of investigations you would do every year before, and how many investigations are you actually doing now?
Interesting question. Before the bill was passed in 2011, we probably did 6 or 7 investigations a year, where we actually sent out paid investigators to look into the situation, talk to witnesses, gather information, and so forth. Since 2011, when the bill was passed, it had to be clear and convincing evidence. We've done 3 investigations in those 5 years. So the number of investigations has drastically decreased, because that level of proof is almost insurmountable. Now, with the preponderance of evidence, we think that, you know, if we get 2 or 3 people that will testify, you know, that the recruiting did take place, then, you know, we can find convincing reason to charge that school or that individual for recruiting.
And we only have about 30 seconds left, but how much pressure have you been under? Because what has been clear is there are a lot of state legislators that have been going after the Florida High School Athletic Association.
Well, there's been a lot of pressure, but I will tell you that I think where everybody loses sight is that the FHSAA, the Florida High School Athletic Association, is not that office in Gainesville. It's 800 member schools whose coaches, men and women who are there charged with, you know, instructing our children, our young student athletes. They all want the rules to be fair. They want to have a level playing field, and they want to teach character and sportsmanship to our kids. That's the FHSAA.
Dr. Daring, we'll have to leave it there. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be back in just a moment.
They're coming from Tampa, Fort Myers, even Orlando. They're coming from everywhere to Sarasota Ford, because Sarasota Ford guarantees you our lowest price on every new Ford every day. Save on America's best-selling truck, 39 years running, the Ford F-150. Fusions, Escapes, over 800 vehicles on site or online, all on sale. Buy with 0% for 60 months. And now, get up to $2,000 trade assistance. That's why they're coming from everywhere to Sarasota Ford, where 41 meets 301. SarasotaFord.com.
You know what scares me? No electricity. Yeah, when this magical box suddenly stops working, I call the pros at Mr. Sparky and they send a superhero to save the day. How's it going, Pablo?
It's going great, Mike.
Pablo possesses amazing skill. He can perform incredible feats at blinding speed. Superhero!
Couldn't have done it without you.
Modest, too.
Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Just to be clear, I don't live here.
Attention, this is an important message for anyone who had an IVC filter placed to prevent blood clots from traveling to their heart or lungs. Did your IVC filter move, break, or cause organ damage? The FDA warns that IVC filters may cause serious complications, such as heart or lung damage, internal bleeding, even death. If you or a loved one suffered serious complications, call IVC Filter Helpline now. You may be entitled to compensation. IVC filters are designed to prevent blood clots. If your IVC filter moved or broke and you suffered heart or lung damage, internal bleeding, or if a loved one died as a result, call IVC Filter Helpline today. Our network of experienced attorneys is ready to fight for you. You'll pay nothing unless there's a recovery in your favor. Call today for a free confidential consultation. Don't fight this alone. Call IVC Filter Helpline now.
Please call 800-897-6764. That is 800-897-6764.
Manatees are beloved animals here on the Suncoast. They are mascots for local schools and colleges. We even have a county name for them. Now, Florida Fish and Wildlife is reclassifying the species from endangered to threatened. But what's in the name, you ask? Some state representatives are using the changing status as a chance to study whether we really need all those manatee zones that we have in local waters. And here's what you had to say. David Iannotti writes, seemingly 90% of them have prop scars marks. Why would we want to continue or increase that by removing manatee zones, which are usually in areas where boats don't need to be speeding anyway? And Deborah Volak writes, keep them endangered and keep the no-wake zones. They need to be protected. Bob Marks writes, leave the no-wakes as is or take some away. It takes an hour to get from Osprey to either pass as it is. Fine for a slow pleasure ride, but when you want to go fishing in the Gulf, there's 2 hours of your trip gone. And Bonnie Thistle writes, we need more no-wake zones. Keep them on the list. Well, if you'd like to join the conversation about tonight's topic, just visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/news@7. And that's all the time we have for this evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Alan Cohn. Have a good night and a great weekend.